It is time to leave your worries outside and laugh with us inside the Treehouse. Today is Monday, December 9th, 2024. I'm Dan O'Malley along with Trey Trenholm today. Ready to start this show. And this week, very, very strongly. Okay. We find it important to bring you not just important stories. Anybody can do that. No. We want to make sure we bring you stories that mean something to you, that you can take in and take with you and then share that with others. Share it with your, what's that?
Life lessons, things inspirational.
Yes, including sometimes life lessons and definitely inspiration. You will find inspiration here inside the Treehouse. That's for damn sure. Like in the case of a previous story we told you, there's been a new wrinkle added to it. Okay. So it's important that you know and remember that just a couple of months ago, we told you about the cocaine sharks off the coast of Florida. Well, first came the cocaine sharks. Now it's the fentanyl dolphins. So while you've got cocaine sharks off the coast of Florida, apparently our dear Texas coast now has fentanyl dolphins that we have to be concerned about. I wish I was making that up.
Yeah.
I have a pretty solid idea of what a shark on cocaine is going to act like. And that's terrifying. I don't really know much about, the fentanyl stuff other than that's what they use in, anesthesiology, right?
Yes, it's incredibly, I'd love to say it's the strongest street drug out there now, but it's not. There's something even worse. But the slightest amount can kill you. I knowing a little bit about dolphins, I feel like, because dolphins are horny little bastards. And, I feel like now there's an epidemic of dolphins, or something's roofing the dolphins. Who's the dealer? Who is the deep blue dealer?
Now that is a big question, my friend. The deep blue dealer. I like that. Fentanyl has been detected in Texas dolphins. Researchers found pharmaceutical drugs in 30 Gulf of Mexico dolphins that they tested, which goes to show the fentanyl crisis in the United States is affecting more than just humans. It's not just on our streets, but it's in our waters. Researchers at Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, have detected traces of fentanyl in the blubber of more than 24 common bottlenose dolphins in the Gulf of Mexico. In a new study titled Pharmaceuticals in the Blubber of Live Free-Swimming Common Bottlenose Dolphins, pretty creative title, researchers analyzed samples from 3 sites around the Gulf of Mexico, including Redfish Bay and Laguna Madre in Texas. Other dolphin tissue samples were collected from the Mississippi Sound in 2013. The study was recently accepted by the journal iScience. It's not clear how fentanyl ended up in the dolphin systems. However, according to a professor of marine biology at Texas A&M Corpus Christi and principal investigator of this study, she said pharmaceuticals have become emerging micropollutants globally, with their presence being reported in freshwater ecosystems, rivers, and oceans worldwide. The thing that I worry about is how, right? Because the cocaine sharks in Florida, we pretty much know how, because cocaine coming in from other countries via water, just like in Bad Boys 2, are getting dumped into the ocean at the site of Coast Guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the same thing with the dolphins here. They're seeing, the authorities and the drug smugglers are freaking out. So maybe they're dumping some of that fentanyl overboard, and it's attracting the dolphins. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be the most likely. Or like, what was the story last week of the meth onesie? I mean, maybe there's a fentanyl wetsuit that people are wearing.
Maybe. Like at this point, you really can't rule anything out. People are doing some weird stuff lately. There's no doubt about that. And drugged up creatures in the ocean are things we don't want. Look, people make fun of like, well, I want like people started making fun of not wanting to have paper straws. And the reason why, paper straws were a thing, because environmentalists are saying, look, turtles are getting straws in their noses. It's not because they were doing cocaine. It's because, they were floating around. They swum up their damn nose.
Well, you say that, but now maybe the turtles are blowing rails.
You know what? You're right. They think at this point we have to consider all options. I mean, you really can't take anything off the table. A good scientist is going to say we have to consider all the variables, right?
Yeah.
And you said it. I mean, turtles doing rails.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
What's your dealer's name? Leatherback.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You can check out treehouseonair.com and talk back to us right here inside the Treehouse. Lower right-hand corner of treehouseonair.com. Click on that microphone, leave us a message, and we will get it right here deep inside the Treehouse and maybe even share it on the show. It's treehouseonair.com, and talk back to us right here inside the Treehouse. This is the Treehouse. I'm Dan O'Malley along with Trey Trenholm today. And there's been a big alert over the last handful of days from the FBI telling us all, whatever you do, stop texting. And that's a headline grabber. So I've read a few stories on this. Trey, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but I've been curious about it, because what is it? I will tell you. The FBI is urgently warning iPhone and Android users to stop sending texts. There are some exceptions, however. Apparently, we're undergoing one of the largest intelligence compromises in U.S. history. A massive cyber attack on telecommunication companies such as AT&T, which is what I use, and Verizon has led to officials warning against sending texts. They say there's one thing you can do to protect your data, though, and that is to use encrypted messages. Now, encrypted messages, the ways you can do that, from what I've read, is you can use WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. It does auto encryption. You don't have to be a hacker or an employee at the NSA to encrypt your messages. Apparently, the app will do that for you. Also, apparently, if you're an iPhone user and you're texting another iPhone user, the iMessage texting, that is apparently automatically encrypted. But if you are sending a text from your Android to an iPhone or an iPhone to an Android, that's regular simple texting, and apparently that's bad. Okay. Two U.S. officials, a senior FBI official who asked not to be named, and Jeff Green, who said, use my name all you want. He's the executive assistant director for cybersecurity at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which I've never heard of until today. He recommended using encrypted message apps to those who want to minimize the chances of their communications being interrupted. Okay. Speaking to NBC, he said, our suggestion that we've told folks internally is not new. Encryption is your friend, whether it's on the text messaging or if you have the capacity to use encrypted voice communication. Even if the adversary is able to intercept the data, if it is encrypted, it will make it impossible. So who is the adversary? The hacking campaign, which apparently was nicknamed Salt Typhoon, has managed to infiltrate 8 major telecommunication and infrastructure firms in the United States. Apparently, there's been a concentration of it around the Washington, D.C. area, which makes me think, well, they're not coming after me. What do I know? I'm in Texas. And I think they said that this group has ties to China. That was another story I saw. So apparently, China is once again attacking our phones and our networks, trying to find out stuff about us. And I don't know what, because when I start thinking about this, what's on my phone that I'm sending that some enemy of the state is going to want? I mean, I sent my wife the hug sleep sleeve from Shark Tank. She sent me a photo of our Christmas tree. I sent her a photo of our dog. She sent me a photo of the cat. If they want to infiltrate the Treehouse group chat, it's basically going to be a lot of Spaceballs clips going back and forth between me and Trey. And I don't know how China's going to weaponize any of that. I'd be actually kind of curious to see it. So at the end of the day, what are the hackers going to see in my text messages other than dog videos, Christmas stuff? There's about 30 videos of a waterfall in the state of Washington that I took this summer that I don't think are going to be helpful in invading America, but they're on there. What are they going to see? What are they going to get?
Yeah, I mean, pictures of Daisy for me, some work stuff, wine order. I mean, I'm with you. When I hear these things, I'm like, okay, they can look at my stuff. What they're going to just be bored out of their mind if they're coming, my direction.
I know. I kind of look at it this way: instead of locking up all your data, unlock it. Go unencrypted. You had that little slide piece on your laptop webcam. Open that bad boy up. Leave your phone open all the time on the camera setting. Basically, flood the hackers with so much bull. They'll never be able to get to anything useful. All they'll be able to do is see a bunch of photos of Trey's dog, Daisy. They'll see some photos of whippets that my wife has sent me, the dogs, not the drugs. Spaceballs clips between me and Trey. They won't be able to find any usable data in any of that. Basically, everything we do and say in the Treehouse is now a national security bullet that we are offering up to the United States government to use against hackers. Just send all our shows to them. They will never have time. Once they try to sift through all of our stupid, they will give up and say, these people have nothing we want. Let's leave them alone.
I was having this discussion with my stepmom and talking about TikTok. Hang on. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh-oh.
And there's been this big thing of, China's using TikTok to infiltrate, like, what in the are they going to go through? How much crap are they willing to go through to think they're going to find a nugget of intelligence on TikTok?
Mm-hmm. All they're going to see is a bunch of our kids lighting themselves on fire. They're going to see that girl we talked about the other day showing people shopping hacks at Target, which are actually just shoplifting. What else is on TikTok recently?
My algorithm, it's the same as Instagram. Boobs and animals. Funny, boobs and funny animal, heartwarming animal stuff. Occasional, questionable jokes.
You know what? This all makes sense, because if you really want to distract one of our enemies, what can you flood them with? Cute dog content, Paige Spiranak, and off-color humor.
We know you can distract an entire North Korean army just with porn.
I think we've got this figured out.
Yeah. It's like, congratulations, China. You figured out we're really dumb.
Exactly. We'll just make ourselves so undesirable. They'll just leave. Like those people are dead. Just leave them alone. It's dumb.
They can sneak up on us. Just distract people with boobs, and next thing you know, they're right on the coast. How'd they get there? Oh, look, wait, more boobs.
Distracted. They just can't do anything. Look, I don't want to toot our own horn too much here, but I really feel like we've hacked the hackers.
And if you're that important, God bless you.
Well, here's the thing. Even our elected officials are all distracted by boobs.
Yeah.
That is if they're not currently boobs themselves.
Very true.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You can advertise right here inside the Treehouse. Just shoot us an email, treehouseonair@gmail.com. That's treehouseonair@gmail.com. Sponsorship opportunities are available right here inside the Treehouse. This is the Treehouse. I'm Dan, along with Trey. Happy to be here with you. Yay, Monday. That's okay, though, because you're only 2 full weeks away from a holiday break, and God knows we all could use it. And there's something that might happen over the holidays. Lonely people looking for things to do. Now, I want this said, just because you're single, and Trey, I'm not just speaking to you specifically here, although you're included in this because you are single. But just because you're single doesn't necessarily mean you're lonely. Like Trey is kind of living his best life. I mean, he's got Daisy, his dog, is his best girl, and has been throughout his entire life. There's no doubt. All other bitches come after Daisy. Mm. Then you also got Julius the cat, who's sort of like your orange bro. And then you got your jobs. You got your work at you're managing a hot night spot, and which gets you some social time outside of the home. And then the rest of the time you go home, you watch some Netflix documentaries, you cut up with your friends here inside the Treehouse. It's a pretty good gig, right?
Yeah.
If you find somebody that piques your interest enough to where you feel like breaking that pattern and going out with them, would you be cool with that first date being at Chick-fil-A?
Sure.
Okay. Would you be okay with the first date being at Dairy Queen? Some steak fingers and gravy? Maybe a Blizzard?
Yeah, if you can find one around here, sure.
Mm-hmm. Sonic Drive-In. Maybe get you a chili dog and some tater tots. Also a sweet treat.
Not so much. I'm going to say no to Sonic is just because then you'd be eating in the car and awkward conversation.
God, well, they do have the patio tables. All right. What about Pizza Hut? Now, this one's weird because Pizza Hut, I don't think it's Pizza Hut that currently has any walk-in locations, but Pizza Inn has some in DFW. I think there's one in Mesquite we talked about recently. There are a few Pizza Inns you could go in and do the buffet.
Especially if I found a Pizza Hut that still was old school and had the inside dining, yeah, all over it. If she doesn't like it, she can sit in the car. I'll bring her
along with that sort of tinted faux patio dining from the 80s and the early 90s.
Brown roof with the red thing. Yes.
The reason why I bring this up is because Chick-fil-A has topped the list of preferred first date spots for American men. Yeah. Dating News, they surveyed 3,000 participants, and according to their results, the survey found that 16% of men favor Chick-fil-A, along with Dairy Queen, Sonic, and Pizza Hut, ranking among the top choices for a first date. Number 5 on that list, McDonald's. Number 6, which makes sense for everybody, especially in this day and age when you have your first meet cute IRL, is the coffee shop. That's number 6. Number 7 is a movie marathon at home. That is not a first date thing. honestly, a movie marathon is just like, that's what you do with the family and the kids way down the line. One movie, that's a date. More than one, that's a big commitment. Number 8, a food truck. At least that's a little more creative, and the food can be, interesting. Number 9, a creative picnic. I don't know what they mean by creative picnic. I mean, to me, a picnic is just, you're just eating outside. I don't know how creative you can get with that.
Well, I mean, if you're going to the trouble of putting together a picnic basket, I think you get creativity points just on the top.
But what if you take any of these other spots on the list and throw them in the picnic basket at number 9? I'm going to throw Chick-fil-A in the basket. I think that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the trouble of putting a blanket together and the utensils and everything else to actually have a picnic, good on you. You should get bonus points.
Also, I'd recommend some Amdro, just to help keep the ants away. Just a suggestion. Also some Skeeter spray.
Yeah,
get you some off. Yeah, get you some off, get you some Cutter. Something with a high amount of DEET. Lots and lots of DEET. And finally, just a generic drive-through. So that's the top 10. Top 10 first date spots according to men. And it's not just the dudes, because apparently women are kind of okay with this as well. The preference for fast food venues is echoed by women. 66% indicated they would agree to a first date at establishments like McDonald's. By the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned it on the men's list. McDonald's is number 5.
Where was the...
It was a national survey, so I cannot give you geographical areas on this, and I'm with you.
When
66% of women say they're okay with a fast food first date spot, I smell a stinky.
Yeah, that is. I think, I believe guys, yes, in this day and age, especially because where I think there is such a gap, and I see it more in younger people of expectations versus reality when it comes to what people make, what they're willing to spend, what everything else. And, especially on the female side, not bagging on it, but especially a lot of younger females think, their guys should be making, they need to be making big money just to date them.
Yeah.
And I trust me, I see it every day in what I do and running a high-end cocktail lounge. And, so yeah, I think there are a lot of women who are, thinking they're giving the answer people wanted to hear, but not the answer that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. In other words, a big old stinky. You remember the scene in Jurassic Park when Jeff Goldblum walks up on the Triceratops or the I think it was the T-Rex?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're all smelling. Yeah.
Like a DQ cone.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
This is the Treehouse. I'm Dan, along with Trey. Very excited to be with you today. We've already covered a lot of excellent ground, and we're about to cover something even more compelling. I know that's hard to believe, and I don't want you to think that I embellish lots of stuff. I think I try to just hit it just right on point as much as I can. I try not to oversell, and I try not to undersell, but just kind of hit it right there on the head. But I want you to lean in very carefully here and pay attention, because I'm going to ask Trey a very, very interesting question. Okay, so here we go. Trey, are you ready for your interesting question?
I am.
Does this sound like fun to you? A naked teacher was arrested with weed and sex toys.
Male or female?
Well, you found me out. Because that right there was a veiled sexist quiz. Because I'll admit, when I first saw the headline, I failed it. Because when I first saw a naked teacher arrested with weed and sex toys, I thought, yeah. And then I found out it was a dude.
Yeah, that's one sounds like a good time, one sounds like a felony.
You don't know how accurate you are, my friend. I'm going to ask you one additional question. It's not very compelling. It's more super obvious, but I'm going to ask it anyway because it's fun. In what state do you think this occurred?
Has to be Florida.
That is correct, yes. Not just any teacher, but a Florida teacher. And it's not just a Florida teacher found naked with weed and sex toys. Oh, no, because Florida man plus Florida teacher takes it to a whole new level. So this headline more accurately should be stated as, a naked Florida teacher has been arrested with weed and sex toys at the elementary school. So yeah, there's that's that additional layer of felony sandwich there. His name is Joe. I will say this though. While he was found naked with drugs at an elementary school in Florida, it was on Thanksgiving break. So it's not like a bunch of kids were around.
So kind of like last week, I think it was, we discussed the police officer that was so, in an altered state that he was directing traffic when there was no cars around. All right, it was at a school. Was he directing traffic at a school and school was out, something like that?
Yes, it was the deputy who was at one point named Deputy of the Year, was off duty and drunk. While he was off duty, he's a small town deputy, so he still had his squad car, but he was so drunk, I guess he thought he was on duty because he started directing traffic at an intersection, and it was in the middle of the night. There were no cars. So, yeah.
So, I mean, sadly, the fact that school wasn't in session does make it less cringe.
Yes. Yeah, it's not like it was in the middle of study hall.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Be sure to check out all things Treehouse at treehouseonair.com. I've actually changed up a few things on the website recently. You can also donate to the RMS Treehouse Listeners Foundation right there on the website. And all the ways to do that are on the website. Go to treehouseonair.com. That is, once again, treehouseonair.com. This is the Treehouse. You're welcome. It is Monday, December 9th, 2024. Birthdays today. Simon Helberg turns 44. Not only is he best known as Howard Wolowitz on The Big Bang Theory, I think that may be one of the only ways he's known. I think the only thing I can recall off the top of my head that he was in was a show called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. I think if I remember correctly, he was in that because I don't know if you ever saw the show. It was starring Bradley Whitford from The West Wing, along with Matthew Perry from Friends fame. May he not rest in peace. And it was sort of based on Saturday Night Live. And it was written and created by Aaron Sorkin, who also did The West Wing and A Few Good Men. Anyway, I believe he played a cast member on that show, and it was supposed to be a skit show, just like Saturday Night Live. And I think he was on that, and that was where he was able to showcase some of the different impressions he can do. Because if you watch Big Bang Theory, he'll do the Raj, like Big Bang Theory's Raj, not our Raj. Our Raj is from Mesquite. And somewhere on I-35, if you see him, just point him in the direction of the Treehouse. We still have that brown alert out. So he'll do like the accent. He also does a killer Al Pacino accent, which he's done on Big Bang Theory. Anyway, that's the only other thing I can think of when it comes to Simon Helberg and the things that he's done.
He's also a classically trained like concert pianist.
Really?
Yes. I'm trying to think of the I can't believe the competition that's in DFW every year, and I just drew a blank on it. But I mean,
Van Cliburn.
Yes, of that caliber pianist, and
look at me being cultured.
Yeah, and
I'd know some.
And also like a black belt in some form of martial arts. He's kind
really,
of kind of a fast, and evidently was like a black belt at like 10 years old or something. I remember reading about it. I was like, holy crap, that's
he's a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
And it also goes to show you how good of an actor he is, because that one, and I know our Raj doesn't like Big Bang Theory, but he's not here. So you and I do. So we're going to enjoy this moment, because that episode where Raj and Wolowitz are fighting, or supposed to be fighting in the gym, and Wolowitz is doing those arms in his wrestling singlet, that does not look like somebody that knows a lick of martial arts. So
no,
that dude's a good actor.
I remember, actually, I looked it up because there's an episode where they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and he's like the dragon or the master of the thing, and the impressions he does throughout of it with Pacino walking and there was a couple more. I'm like, holy crap, because they're good.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the one Pacino is excellent, but most people are so hacky when they do their Christopher Walken impression, and his was really good. And you're right. Yeah. His ability to mimic Raj was also
and you're right, because the way that he does his Christopher Walken is a tried and true version. It is an honest to God impersonation. Mm-hmm. It is an impression of Christopher Walken that Simon Helberg does. And you said it's not a hacky version like so many other people. My Christopher Walken, totally hacky. Honestly, it may not even be fair to hacks to call mine hacky. Mine's just okay. I want you to ask me a yes or no question, okay? And I will give you my Christopher Walken impression, okay? Just whatever comes to mind, just a yes or no question.
Do you love your wife?
No. Thank you. I do one word, and that's it. I can't say yes. I can't say I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll get back to you. None of that. All I can say in the voice of Christopher Walken is, and only, no. Aren't you glad you listened today?
Yeah.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Aren't you glad you listened today? No.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You are inside the Treehouse. I'm Dan O'Malley, along with Trey Trenholm today. One last little thing to tell you about here inside the Treehouse before we take off for the day. Actually, I'm going to say it's two things. Number one, yes, in that entire last break, I was trying various words to sound like Christopher Walken, and still the only word that I can say that sounds anything remotely close to Christopher Walken is no, and that's really it. Like, Trey, ask me that question again, and I'll try to give you a different answer in my Christopher Walken voice, and and you'll hear how bad it is. Go ahead. Same question.
Do you love your wife?
Yeah. Wait, was that okay?
That was okay.
That's okay. See, at best, it's okay at best with any other word. But if I say no, you know exactly who that is. But all the rest of it, I'm trying to think of other things I could read. Like, what's one of the stories I did before? Let me see if I can do it in a Christopher Walken voice. Here we go. The survey found 16% of men. See, no, it's terrible. It's not even worth doing. That's why I don't do it. I will say this: if our brown alert is ever answered, and we find Raj, our Raj actually does a really good Christopher Walken.
Oh.
Maybe if we all do Christopher Walken voice at the same time, he'll follow. All right, one last little bit to tell you about Inside the Treehouse for today. And I'm sorry when I do this. Sometimes I save the best story for last, and because I like to go out on a high note. And I'd like to point out that this was not a high note for this guy, but we are really, really kind of men of questionable character sometimes. And this is a great example of that. A 22-year-old man fell down an abandoned well, and no one in a nearby village came to save him for 3 days because they thought he was a ghost. Now, I don't know if this matters or not, but this happened in the country of Thailand. It's not like it happened in Tyler, okay? Because I feel like if this happened in, say, Tyler, Texas, someone might have checked on it. But in Thailand, I guess maybe they believe in ghosts a little bit more than our East Texas brethren. Because here, I'm going to set the scene for you. Here you go. A 22-year-old man in northern Thailand fell 40 feet down an abandoned well and survived, but he could not get out. So he started screaming for help. No one came. The well is in a remote forest, but there is a small village nearby where people should have been able to hear him. So why did they not come to his rescue? It turned out several people in the village did hear him, but they didn't investigate because they just assumed he was a ghost and they thought the forest was haunted. He was stuck in that well for 3 days before police, who happened to be driving by, heard his screams and were brave enough to infiltrate the haunted forest. He told them he'd only been yelling once an hour to conserve energy. So it's lucky that they were driving by at that exact moment. It took 30 minutes for people to get him out. He was covered in bruises, had a closed head injury, and a broken wrist. They're sealing up the well to make sure no one ever falls in again. Now, I say I don't think this would happen in Tyler, but according to a poll, 61% of Americans believe in ghosts.
Did they really think it was a ghost, or was he just like the village idiot and they were like, eh?
Or is it Thailand's version of Timmy on Lassie? That effing guy.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us inside the Treehouse today. We will see you tomorrow. Back here. Same time, same channel, inside the Treehouse. See you then.